Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bea. I hope you guys are having an amazing week. So today I will be talking about, well, it is kind of like the one out of 5 love language, right? And today I'll be talking about specific I'll be focusing more on the words of affirmation. So words of affirmation, it's kind of like, I did write it down. It's like praise, appreciation, spoken words, love notes, compliments, uplifting quotes. If you're that kind of a person, it's great. But I think everyone has like the love language, but it's for me, I think it's very important to master your love language, to know what your love language is. I mean, there's books that explains in deep, and then you actually find out what love language that you kind of like what is your love language. But it's good to master it, because in order to not be manipulated by the toxic guy, or like someone who doesn't belong in your life, or those manipulators. In order for you, we usually say how to get out of a toxic relationship, how to avoid a toxic man, but how to actually avoid getting into a relationship in the first place, how to avoid that. And I think mastering the love language is very important, because then you have control over what you allow in your life, and of what feelings you allow to kind of drive you, and to drive your life. So the words of affirmation, I would like to give these 2 examples in the Bible. It's kind of relates into that. It doesn't relate especially like into words of affirmation, but it relates into these 2 women that they kind of one is seeking for a man's affirmation, to affirm her, to love her, and another one, she stands on her own, and she's kind of like very confident with who she is, into the point that she doesn't let other people define who she is. So we'll start with Queen Esther. I love that the book in the Bible. I really love it. So I'll just read a little bit of an example of Queen Esther. So just a little bit of summary. Queen Esther was an orphan who was like, there was a time where the king wanted a wife, and then Queen Esther was kind of like part of that group of girls who were taken to kind of like present themselves in order for the king to choose one of them, right? It's just in summary, just a quick summary. And then there was a time that in order for them to present themselves to the king, they were offered, I'll just read a little bit here in Esther 2 verse 13, and this is how she would go to the king. Anything she wanted was given to her to take with her from the harem to the king's palace. In the evening she would go there, and in the morning return. So she will kind of like, she was given, like, all these women were given all this like jewelry, all those stuff, in order for them to decorate themselves in before going to the king. And then in verse 15 it says, when the turn came to Esther, the young woman Mordecai had adopted, the daughter of his uncle Abihail, to go to the king, she asked for nothing other than what Haggai, the king's eunuch, who was in charge of the harem, suggested. And and Esther won the favor of everyone who saw her. So I just want to focus there on when, you know, Esther, she asked for nothing other than what Haggai, you know, the king's and who was in charge, you know, what he suggested. So she not just rush there and be like, oh, you know when, like, I mean, at that time, to be chosen with the king it was a very big thing. And, you know, while all other girls were, you know, kind of like, you know, decorating themselves and, you know, looking perfect, with all these jewelries and all this good stuff, Queen Esther did not take anything from there. You know, this just simply it shows the example of how confident she was, and how, you know, you don't have to look a certain way to be accepted. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't have to kind of, because, you know, the wearing of the jewelry, for me here, it represents kind of wearing of a character, or wearing kind of like something that is not you, right? Because these were the girls who were taken from, you know, from very small families, you know, very small villages, right? So for them to wear all those stuff, it's kind of is not the representation of who they are. And for, you know, to bring it to this time, you know, sometimes when you fall for a guy, you kind of want to change yourself, and you want to present someone who it's not you, for him to actually approve you or to affirm you. And in this example, it shows, you know, she went, you know, she did not choose anything, right? Except for what this you know, the king's Enoch, what he suggested, right? So yeah, so this is kind of like just a reminder that you know, you don't have to change for a guy. You know, you don't have to, you know, change a certain look. I mean, I'm not saying that you should not even like comb your hair and go, you know. I'm just saying about, you know, changing your character, or like being a different person. Because, you know, if someone approves you, even with friends as well, if people approve you of the character that you are wearing, of the mask that you are wearing, it will come a time that you get tired of it. You get tired of it, and then you start kind of showing your true personality, and then people will be like, oh, you know, like, they will be surprised, like, who are you? You know, like, people will be like, who are you? I thought you were someone else, but, you know, what's going on here? So be who you are, accept who you are. Like, don't seek for approval so much that you kind of lose yourself. And another example of the woman, I would also like to share, like, just because a guy tells you that he likes you does not mean he likes you. It does not mean that. Because, you know, what the society has put in our minds, it's that if a guy wants to sleep with you, that means they love you. But that is not entirely the case. I will show you an example, and I think I heard this example from this pastor called R.C. Blakes. He's very good. I heard this example, and it stuck with me, like, since that day, and I would just like to share with you. So it's in Genesis 29 verse 31. And this was when, the story about Jacob, Rachel, and Leah. And, so Jacob loved Rachel, and, he worked 7 years for Rachel. And then when it came to the wedding, the dad, Laban, he tricked Jacob, and so he tricked Jacob to marrying Leah. So at the end of the day, Jacob married Leah instead of Rachel. So um and after that, then Jacob was upset, asking Laban, like, why did you do this? Why did you betray me? And then, it was because Leah was the older daughter. So it's not a tradition for the young daughter to be married first, right? So at the end of the day, Jacob ended up marrying Leah and Rachel, both of them. So in Genesis 29 verse 31, it says, when the Lord saw that Leah was not loved, and I think in another vision of the Bible, it says when the Lord saw that Leah was hated. Okay, so I'll just read it to you. When the Lord saw that Leah was not loved, he enabled her to conceive, but Rachel remained childless. Leah became pregnant and gave birth to a son. Okay, and then it says, so she gave birth for the first son. Okay, so and then she named him Reuben, for she said, it is because the Lord has seen my misery. Surely my husband will love me now. So she was seeking for kind of like an approval, an affirmation from her husband. And it said here that, like when the Lord saw that Leah was not loved, so the question is, if Leah was not loved by her husband, why she kept having children? That means, Jacob was still sleeping with her, even though he did not love her. So, at this day and age, we will have this mindset, as I said, of, relying everything on whether a guy likes you or not is, if you give him your body. And that is not the case. Because just because he likes you, just because you guys do all of that, it does not, just because he says that he loves you, just because he says that he likes you, just because you guys do all of that stuff, it does not mean that he actually loves you. So I'm not against love, I'm just against the like how like there's some men who use love differently, like just to deceive young girls. And so she kept having children, and then she conceived again the second child, the second son, and she said, because the Lord heard I am not loved. She conceived again the third time, another son, the third son. Now at last my husband will become attached to me. And then she conceived again the fourth time, and then she said, this time I will praise the Lord. So she named him Judah. Then she stopped having children. So it was when she acknowledged God. It was when she acknowledged, because the fourth time she did not say anything about her husband. She said, this time I will praise the Lord. So she like was thanksgiving to God, so, and then she stopped having children. So it was when she acknowledged God that kind of like she stopped kind of like that affirmation, seeking for that affirmation from her husband. And I'm just talking about, like, I'm sharing this example mainly to, just to shine the light on, the mindset that is, because most of the movies, growing up as a teenager, I saw most of the movies will be after a girl sleeps with a guy, then a guy will start loving her. Most of them, they are kind of like in that example. Like, it is when they sleep together, then a guy will love, or it's so that mindset is actually, it's kind of like at the back of, it was the back of my mind, it's in the back of the mind until you start entering in relationships, then you're kind of like applying that, because that is the only kind of like the main example that is portrayed in some of the movies, not all movies, in some of the movies. So for whoever was supposed to hear this, you are loved. Seek affirmation from God. Seek affirmation from God. Don't seek it from anyone else. It can be friends, you're a man. Just seek it from God, because after you seek it from God, then if the affirmation comes from the outside, you won't rely it, you won't give it 100%, and it won't drive your life. So yeah, and I would like to share just 2 scriptures, just to remind you that you are beautiful and loved. In Psalms 46 verse 5, it says, God is with her, she will not fall. God will help her at break of day. And then Psalms 139 verse 14, it says, I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. So you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Okay, so master your love language, and I'll be talking more in this love language. It's kind of like it's gonna be a little bit of short series. And so today it was words of affirmation, and then I'll carry on with the rest, the remaining 4. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate for all my subscribers. I'm just amazed. I really thank you for your support, for your love, for your comments. I just, it's such an amazing feeling that people are watching my videos, and we are going through this journey together. Thank you so much, and I hope you have an amazing day, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye guys.